We're at the Armoury Studios in Vancouver, probably one of the most famous studios in the world, really. Jim Vallance was one of the owners and builders of the studio, I believe.
Yeah.
The writing partner of Bryan Adams, and then Bruce Fairburn, an amazing man who passed away a few years ago, was basically, I would say, the head of the studio, and he made things happen here, some real amazing magic. And just for off the top, AC/DC, NXS, Nickelback, Cranberries, Diana Krall, Drake, Elvis Costello have all done stuff here. And this gentleman who I'm sitting with today, Mike Fraser, here on The Creators. And Mike, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. And this is, David, I gotta say, really exciting to be here with you, talking to you and all your viewers and that. It's awesome. Thanks for having me.
Well, you were just saying before we started this, yeah, it's kind of weird because we usually see each other at a bar.
That's right.
Talking
Three sheets to the wind.
Well, yes, talking about music and all that stuff, which is great. Now I'm going to just embarrass you for a minute for the people out there, because you sit there and you be quiet and you take this now, okay? Because some of these amazing artists that you've worked with, Mike, truly amazing. AC/DC, Aerosmith, Led Zepplin, Van Halen, Metallica, Rush, The Cult, Biffy Clyro, Bryan Adams, Norah Jones, Motley Crue, Chickenfoot, who I love, Sam Roberts, Headley, Russell Crowe, Slipknot, Tom Cochrane and Red Rider, Andy Taylor, Duran Duran, Power Station, Prism, Loverboy. It goes on and on and on and on. So, you know, my first question has to be, when are you going to get some good clients?
I know. I was thinking as you're going through that list, man, I got to get some.
Yeah, like, you know, help some little guys once in a while. Or are you just going for the big ringers all the time?
Hey, why not go for the brass ring? You know.
That's right. So when you're sitting in the Armoury Studios, or wherever you might happen to be, you were recently in Australia as well.
Yep.
Do you know when that sparkle happens when you have a hit record? Do you feel it coming on in the session, or? Well,
sometimes you have your favorite song that comes up and you play it, and for me, a lot of time, my favorite songs always ended up on the B side of the record or the flip side of the
when there were B-sides.
Of the LPs. LPs are these things that have, you know. Anyway, so it was always sort of the longer 6-minute song, and I didn't like the short sort of single stuff. Right. But you know, nowadays singles are really good songs. So, you know, sometimes you've got really good songs, but like say in the example of AC/DC with Thunderstruck, we knew that was going to be a really good song, but we had no idea it's going to be one of their iconic songs later on down the thing. You know, like it's up there with Back in Black and Highway to Hell. Like it's one of their iconic songs. You go, wow, we never realized that.
Stadium pleasers.
Right? Yeah. So but you do know, but you don't know, you know?
Right. So at the moment you're mixing it with them, does everyone kind of look around in each other's eyes and go, hey, we got something here?
No, because we're always giving 100% to all the songs, and oh yeah, no, that sounds great. You know, hey, let's get the vocals a little louder, or let's, you know, the guitars need to pump more, or something. And you're just in the process of manufacturing and putting a song together. So you don't really look at each other and go, yeah, that's gonna be the one. Not in the rock world anyways, maybe more in the pop world that happens, but not for us.
Can you tell me a couple moments you might have had in here that were special for you in the studio?
God, there's been this
it's a family show.
Okay. Oh, okay. Then no, I can't say it. Okay. No, there's been a lot of magical moments here. One time, I remember I got to record Norah Jones here, and came in and set her up on the piano, and that's sort of way off short the other way of what I normally do, so it was kind of bizarre. Hooked that up through Elvis Costello and those guys. So she just needed a couple of songs recorded, so did her on the piano, and so that was really magical for me because she's got such an awesome voice, and it's such a different flavor of music. And I like all music. I mean, I love music, so I don't get to be involved with that. So it's just so cool to hear her voice and her piano playing live into that microphone while we recorded it. That was a real special treat.
And to be there.
Yeah.
You just flippantly say, oh, you know, I hooked it up through Elvis Costello. But I mean, oh my God, for anybody out there, that must be nice.
But he lives here now, right, with Diana, so it's easy to bump into him and say, hey, and I've done a few little things with him, and he's a great guy. Love him.
How would you define the Mike Fraser sound? Is there a Mike Fraser sound?
I don't think there is, but I have people say they can tell right away if it's, you know, if I recorded the drums or whatever. I don't think so. I don't like to put a sound on things. I want the band to be the band and not to be the Mike Fraser. So, you know, I try and capture what the band sounds like, and it really helps if I get to see the band live first or know some of their other songs and all that, and then, okay, that's their sound. Like, you know, AC/DC's got their sound. You can't make them sound like anything else.
And nobody wants them to.
No, so you have to get their sound. So I can't put the Mike Fraser sound on that, because so I don't think there is. There probably is. There's a certain thing I probably gravitate to, you know, like good punchy bottom end and
you have a very
but
defined sound, I would say. So when you're actually with the artists, are they talking to you about the sound they're trying to get from that particular record, or is it something that you just all show up and it just is what it is?
Go.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time, varying levels of conversations of what they want. You know, as an engineer, they'll communicate a lot of that to the producer, whether it's Bruce Fairbairn or whoever. Bruce will communicate that to me. There's a lot of talk in the studio. Yeah, I'm looking more for a grittier guitar thing. I don't want it so overdriven and compressed, but I want that. So there'll be a lot of talking like that. And sometimes together we'll search for the sound and try out different amps, and that's not working. Let's try this guitar, and so we'll try a combination and work together to create their sound.
Right.
Like a good case in point, when we're setting up and doing the Pump record with Aerosmith, and we're working on getting a bass tone. So Tom was out in the studio where his bass rig was all set up. Me and Bruce were in the control room, and okay, try a little bit more bottom end. Oh no, back that up. Try a little bit more distortion. Do this. Try that. And you know, and I'm going out there and moving mics, and we're just not really kind of getting kind of what we want. And then all of a sudden, Bruce goes, "Oh, wait a minute, that's it. Whatever you change, don't touch a thing, that's it." And Tom goes, "I didn't do anything." And he said, "Oh, this sounds amazing."
That's where you're standing.
Well, what happened is one of the speakers ripped.
Oh, all right. Wow.
So it's just got that almost distorty kind of rippy sound, but it was still a full, clear, clean bass. And that was the sound of the bass on Pump.
Wow, amazing. A happy accident.
Yeah, happy accident.
And I guess you come across some of those magical
Oh
moments.
yeah, all the time. And that, for me, is the most rewarding part of doing music is to not cookie cutter, and you've got to really create an environment that creates magic.
Right.
And you're actually trying to capture magic on, well, tape. It used to be tape, now it's computers, but you're trying to capture magic, and that's the exciting thing, because when you capture that magic and it's there, that's what goes out to the audience and pulls you into that song, is because there's a magic on there.
Can you tell me a little bit about, on our audience too, what it's like to wrangle the personalities of artists who are nervous to work with you perhaps, or amped up, or think they know better than you, or not clear of what they want, but how do you sort of manage that as a guy to just keep them focused and their expectations?
Well, you know, there's a lot of recording studios and teach you how to twiddle the knobs and do this and do that. I think they've got to teach a course in psychology, because that was one thing I learned off Bruce Fairbairn, was really good at that, the psychology of getting into the guy's head and either calming a situation down if he's getting all antsy, or if he's nervous, of calming him down. You know, anything like that. So, you know, I've sort of been blessed with a pretty even personality. I'm pretty even tone. I don't get too excited. I don't get too depressed. Like, I'm pretty even. So it calms people down.
Which is rare in the music industry, sorry.
It kind of is, but, you know, a lot of guys that have been in it a long time have that aspect. That's the most important thing in a control room, because everybody's all tense and worried and nervous and red light fever, and there's enough stress in this room to have to come from me. So I need to be the one that absorbs the stress out of them and lets them relax, and that's when they play their best. They probably play their best in their living room, because they're all nice and relaxed, or on stage when the crowd's giving them all that energy. But in the studio, it's stark, it's, you know, lights on them, you know, the spotlights on them or whatever, they got to perform and they can't. So
convexly, do you find that sometimes you have to create a little anxiety so they get on point?
Sometimes, but I don't work that way. Some guys like to fire people up and get them mad, and then they hit the drums harder. That doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me.
One of the things I like to say about you is that when I was managing a few venues and booking a lot of shows in town, which I still do, you would be there a lot. And I find it quite rare that people that are, you know, over 25 or 30 that are working in the music industry that are either agents, publishers, whatever, quite a few of them don't show up. But you actually go out and you support live music a lot, which I really always appreciated because I knew the bar doubled when you showed up. Just kidding, kids. But really, what are you looking for when you're going out for a live music experience? And can you tell a little bit about what a live music experience means to you still?
Well, being here in Vancouver, I think we've got a lot of great bands in our thing, and I don't know why Vancouver isn't recognized more for our musicality. You know, Toronto seems to get a lot more of the notoriety, and now sure, it's a lot bigger city and all that stuff, but you know, all the labels are there. We don't, you know, we have some representation here, but there's no labels. There's offices here. There's like, we don't get anything, but we've got such great music. So I love working with bands with good music, and we've got good bands here, so I like to go see them in their environment, in the club, as they're up and coming and going, oh, that's a great song. Hey, I could work with you guys, and hey, let's get a couple other great songs. And nowadays, because there's smaller budgets, I say, hey, well, let's just go do an EP.
Right.
You know, 3, 4, 5 songs, and you know, it halves your budget of what you need to spend. We do it really quick, so I love doing stuff like that, and that's where you got to find them. You know, it's hard to have
you're kind of airing
managers pushing bands on you and say, no, okay, that sounds okay. I'd rather go and find them myself. And
kind of like A&R.
Through, yeah, kind of, and you know, through people like yourself, word of mouth. Mike, you got to check this band out this weekend. They're freaking great.
AC/DC, you should check them out. They're gonna be big.
You know, and then that helps, because then it comes, oh, I would have never heard of this band if you hadn't turned me on to that, and you get to go see them here in town. So. Yeah.
So when you're seeing a band and they're doing that, it might be a baby band that you're just discovering. Is there a particular thing about a performance that you really like to see from a band?
Well, I like to see a band that's really tight and well rehearsed and know how to play together. Right. You know, you can have 4 or 5 guys up on the stage and they're all playing at the same time, but they're not playing together. Right. So that's one thing I look for, because if they're not doing it then, it's really hard to bring them into the studio and do it in the studio. So then you tend to record things all separately, and it's hard to create magic.
Right.
You know, you're just doing a cookie cutter thing, and let me edit that in, and you know, no, I'm not into that. I like the organicness of a band and the energy they create playing together, and the bass player knows where the drummer's playing on and stuff like that. So I look for that. I also, in the lead guy, whether it's a singer or whatever, I like to see if there's some kind of star quality to him. He can't just be jeans in a tee. Not that, you know, he has to wear sequins, but you know, it can't just be, you know, he's got to have some life, and he's got to be selling his songs and drawing the audience to him. And so I look for that kind of stuff, because that's what's going to project in the bigger world outside of a city.
Driving over here today with Rob behind the camera today, we were talking about Freddie Mercury and people like that, David Bowie, the magnetism factor. When you see a star, you can't deny it. You're seeing it and you feel it. And have you sat in a room and went, oh my goodness, this guy's a star? Can you think of a time when you saw?
Well, most recently was Dylan Villain of The Wild.
Right.
That kid's a star. He's freaking got it, and he's smart. He's got the business smarts. And I think that's why they're starting to do some really good things now, because he's starting to click into his high gear now. He gets it, and it's freaking awesome. So
we're gonna watch.
It's exciting to watch.
We'll get him on the show.
Yes, let's do that.
What's it like to be an artist? You are an artist. You can say you're a mixer all you want, or you appreciate a producer, but as an artist to a core, it's inside you. What does that mean to you?
Sum it up in one word, I find it a bit torturous, because there's a lot of emotions. I put a lot of emotions into what I do, and you know, sometimes when I'm working on something, it'll bring like a tear to my eye, not a happy tear, whatever. It's just an emotional thing, like it just wells up and I get kind of emotional. So then it becomes very close. So when you finally got your mix done and the band, everybody likes it, it's really weird to have put it out there for everybody else, because it's almost like you're naked, and here's your naked thing, because you put so much emotion in it. It's like, God, I hope it touches them like it touched us in the control room here. And then it's very fulfilling when it does touch somebody like that.
It must be wonderful.
So it's a roller coaster of emotions, and that's why I say it's a bit torturous.
What can you give in the way of advice to someone who wants to be sitting in your chair and having that success? Is there some ethic involved?
Well, I would say number one is, if you want to be an engineer in that, learn to listen. If your mouth is yapping, you're not listening. So learn to listen and learn to sit in the back room and watch what's going on, and then try and understand why that's going on. And then you can start applying your own thoughts to that. But the most important thing in a studio is listening.
Tell people a little about this crazy board, because I'm familiar with it. But why is this such an amazing board for people that might not know? Because it is truly vast.
Well, for me, one of the best recording consoles is a console called the Neve.
Right.
But this is called a Solid State Logic, SSL. And the great thing about these boards is they were actually designed by engineers and not by scientist engineers, but by music engineers.
Right.
Guys that knew how to do all the wiring. That would go, well, what if we do? No, how about if we had a board that could do this? So that's, it becomes such an easy tool. It looks complicated, but once you know what one strip does, it just multiplies over the whole board, and it becomes so intuitive and so easy to use. You don't have to have a degree to know how to work one of these, and you can just do what you want to do and not have to think about it. You can think about what you're actually trying to make it sound like. So. And
then you have this amazing wall of analog equipment,
yes.
Which is anybody who's in music and knows anything about music would love to have this outside.
That's right. Yes. These are antique plugins, we like to call them.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Which is better. You can push a little button on there, and everything's in line as you want them, right? So it's great.
Well, my assistant patches right in the patch bay over there. Then it all works.
Yeah. Hang tight. We have more with AC/DC, Van Halen, and Aerosmith mixer Mike Fraser after this. This is it.
This is it. This is the room of magic.
I would say, for me, and I hope I don't offend anyone, this is church.
I think it looks a bit like a church, and that was the point.
Incredible magic happens in rooms like this. I think about people that go to tours for places like Abbey Road or Hansa Studios in Berlin, and this is, a treasure in Vancouver. Warehouse Studios in this place.
That's right. Yeah.
Like we had mentioned earlier. What is it about Vancouver? It's just this incredible place where these little places exist, big places.
Well, do you know why some of the big bands love coming here? Is because there's a lot of things to do here in Vancouver that aren't too dangerous. Like, if you go to Berlin or New York or something, sometimes, especially the bands into drugs and that, they can get lost. Vancouver, there's enough fun here. It shuts down early enough, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. sometime, that you don't lose band members, so they can come here.
Slippery when wet.
Well, yeah, but I don't think we ever lost them.
They did a great record.
Yeah, they did, yes.
Yeah.
And it's a fun city, you know. If they want to go up skiing, they can. If they want to go to the beach, they can. So it's a really cool place to do a record.
Yeah, and I always say that, you know, Vancouver, small city, but industrial music, really skinny puppy, frontline assembly and all that came out of here. Punk, when you think of DOA and SFNU and No Means No and all these bands that were coming through here at the time, back in the day, the Young Canadians, all that. And rock, Bryan Adams, you know, everybody like Bachman Turner Overdrive out here, Trooper,
Loverboy, Prism, friggin'
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So Vancouver is really, I don't know why we don't pat ourselves on the back more.
Because we're nice, polite Canadians, and we just say, no, that's cool. We know what we did.
Yeah, it's good. We're taking over the world.
That's right.
So what are some of the big artists that have worked in this room for our fans?
This room? Yeah. The big ones?
Yeah, give me some
names. Well, didn't you reel off them earlier? I don't remember all those
Right in this room where we're standing.
Right where we're standing.
Norah Jones?
Norah Jones was in here. Elvis Costello was probably right where you're standing.
But you were saying actually earlier that you like to have the vocals sometimes in the control room with you.
When we're all said and done and everything's recorded, put the vocals on last, yes, because it's more intimate.
Right.
He's not out in the thing, he can't see me because unless I'm pushing the talk back button, he can't listen. So he's just saying a very emotional piece and then it all goes quiet in his headphones and he looks up and there might be 2 or 3 of us and we're laughing away. So he's like, oh, is he laughing at my vocals? No, he just said, oh, that was amazing. Oh yeah, and then somebody would crack a joke, and that's what we're laughing. So he's disconnected. Like, so what did you guys think of that? And so he starts losing his vibe or her vibe. Come in the control room. They're just part of the whole thing. Yeah.
When you're sitting here, all this around you, your discography and everything, Mr. Mike Fraser. How do you feel? Does it ever sink into you about, you know, how not maybe fortunate you are? Because I know it's a lot of hard work, but you must enjoy this.
Well, I do kind of pinch myself every day. You know, through my sort of career, I've managed to work with pretty much all of my, you know, preschool, high school hero things, you know, and I can't believe that that's actually happened. You know, if you could ever work with a handful, that would have been great, but I've worked with almost every one of.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I've been blessed.
I don't know anybody who's worked with such a vast array of styles and artists as you have. It's quite remarkable.
That's because I'm a whiner and I whine until I get it. You know?
That's what you have to do. You got to hustle, right?
That's right.
Mike, thank you so much.
David, yeah, man.
And you're one of the good people. I'm very happy to have you as my friend for sure. Well, we're here with David Wilson, and we're on The Creators, and thank you very much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
It's a very great exposition that you have right now, and it must be very exciting for you when you walk into a gallery and see all your things. I know you've worked putting them up on the walls as well, but it's great to see them all displayed like this.
Yeah, every exhibition, it's you know, getting my work up on the walls is a different experience other than having it in my studio. You know, like this, I just stack the work up and it piles up, and usually my studio is quite a mess. You know, the process of creating paintings is conducive to mess making, and so yeah, getting up on the walls in the gallery, they look completely different.
You've really captured the West Coast rainforest light in a lot of these paintings, and what is that light is different than anywhere in the world, I think.
Yeah, I think it is. It's you know, we have so much moisture in the air when you're looking at you know, at the scenes that are in front of you, whether you're up in the mountains or in the city. You know, there's either the humidity or today, like there's rain. You know, it changes the way the light reflects and, you know, expands upon whatever you're looking at. And I think that I try to capture that to a certain extent. You know, I paint where I live.
Yeah.
And I think it's reflected in the work.
The umbrella signified something for you. Do you want to just sort of elaborate on that?
Sure. Yeah. My use of umbrellas, I mean, I think it's a progression of the work I've been producing for the last 5-10 years. You know, painting the streets of Vancouver in the rain, and you know, there's always people in there, and often they have umbrellas. But I started focusing more upon the umbrella for this exhibition, just because it's you know, it's almost like a metaphor for how you know, as a human being, you try to protect yourself from all the things that are sort of coming your direction, and you know, you can do your very best, but you're still going to get a little bit wet from from the rain, and I think that's sort of how life unfolds. Certainly been my situation for the last 5-10 years. Yeah.
So if you were to talk to yourself as that kid in the art class right now, and you were to switch on your TV, and there's somebody out there watching right now, hopefully that's getting inspiration from this, what can you tell them about the choice to be an artist?
Well, you know, if I was looking at this career opportunity or potential, you know, 30 years ago, again, knowing how hard it can be and would be and is, I'd still do it, because it's you know, you have to pursue your dreams. Like I know people that they would be talented artists had they pursued it, and they've pursued other professions and they're happy in them. But I think that, you know, just being a creative, you know, self-expression as your daily existence, it's pretty awesome. So I think if you're interested in it, pursue it.